'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children are nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her nightie, and Dad in his munde, had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. Now Dasher, now! Dancer, now! Prancer! And Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder, and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves the before, the wild hurricane fly. When they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop, the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes how they twinkled, his dimples how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf. And I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang into his sleigh, and everyone came about. The mice, the fairies, and 8 tiny reindeer. But we heard them before he drove out of sight.
Merry Christmas I hate, it's the noise.
Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast feast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
And then they do something I like least of all. All the Who's down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing.
And the more the Grinch thought of this Who's Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. But how?
Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat.
With this hat and this coat, I'll look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, they are not to be found. But did that stop the Grinch?
No. If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. Oh, Max, come here.
So he called his dog Max. Then he took out some long thread and tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded up some bags and some empty old sacks on a ramshackle sleigh.
This is stop number 1. These stockings are the first to go.
Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present.
Checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums.
Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food in his bag with a glee.
And now I will take the tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to leave when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this little Who daughter who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie and he thought it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tot, there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here.
And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and got her a drink and sent her to bed. When Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the tree and picked it right up. The last thing he took was a log for their fire. Then he left with the things. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he did leave in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
I'll take that.
Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses. Then he went to dump all his stuff.
Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two, and all the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise I simply must hear.
So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to grow. This sound was merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. Maybe Christmas doesn't come from the store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast feast.